one. Welcome back to another collaboration episode on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Someone that's built a very successful brand for herself as well, and we see her along. Well, a good fascination with spiders, apparently, as well, from what I've read. Anyway, from what I read, it is, and someone who's actually recently been at the NWA, which we'll speak to in a minute. It is the wonderful Xenia. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is great, but can we dive into the spider thing? What was that about?
I don't know. I saw some things about spiders on your chat stuff that recently when I was looking through some archives. So
I'm very confused by that.
there we
The one
go.
thing
Well,
I can think of is when Tekla debuted in AEW, I got a bunch of people tagging me because apparently we look alike, which I
that
don't
could be where it is.
understand. I think it might be the side part and the blonde, but I'm also like two Teklas tall, so I'm not sure how that works. But yeah, spiders. I'm pretty scared of spiders actually, so I
That
don't
might be
know.
where it was from. We're both. I'm arachnophobic as well. I don't like them either. So we're very similar in that sense. But no, thanks for coming on. It's really great to be talking to you. I want to start with though, because this past weekend at the time of the recording, you were in one of our favorite places. You were at the NWA. How was that experience for you this past weekend?
It was awesome, and since they've been taping in Tampa, I've been there every time. They tape every 6 weeks in Tampa, and I'm actually working with some of the talent on their socials. For those who don't know, I do new media and social media guidance consultancy for wrestlers, for wrestling promotions, helping them build their brand, helping them monetize their social media and their online presence. So I've been working with some of the people in the company. And we also got a little slot between the two tapings. So I shot some pretty cool short form content with some of the talents. So that's all coming very soon to my Instagram and my YouTube, which are all under the same name. Um, but yeah, it was a really good night of wrestling. And since I started coming to NWE, and this is not to sound weird in any way, but I was pleasantly surprised by the quality of wrestling and the standard that they
Mm.
hold it to. You rarely see a show where it's all good throughout, where there's not a single bad match on the card. And the three taping days that I've been to, which equates to six tapings, six taping sessions, I guess, which equates to even more weekly episodes, right?
Yes.
Literally not a single bad match. They hold their talent to a really high standard, and they, handpick their talent, and they make sure that they're also coached and guided in-house. So I think they have some really good practices for wrestling.
They really do. It really surprised me when I got introduced. As I say, before we come on, I was talking about my co-host Fiona, who she's been out to
Mhm.
see the Crockett Cup over there. She's been and see a lot of NWA. NWA was her thing. And when I first got it, this was probably 3 years ago when I first started watching NWA Power. It really impressed me. Like not as you said, the quality of wrestling impressed me as well. And the fact that over the course of time now, the people that they even brought in, even if it's just for a few tapings, like they've had Hammerstones, the Shotzies, the Giselle Shaws recently have come in. The Good Brothers were there actually when you were there, because I know they're filming towards
Mhm.
the Crockett Cup right now. Just because, when they see those standards of wrestlers come in as well, does it just kind of show you that the place that they're actually in, that these actually, all right, they're getting paid, but they still want to come and perform for the NWA?
Yeah, and I think it's also a really good thing that they're doing that. It's also an enjoyable show to watch live.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the wrestling TV tapings, and that's not a bad thing by any means. Like, however the companies want to handle it is fine as long as it makes for a good product, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of the TV tapings very much feel like a TV taping. You don't feel like a fan, you feel like an extra. You feel like they try to guide your reactions, or to tell you what to do, tell you how to react or what to chant or this kind of things. And the cameras are in the way and like the cuts are strange and they do like reshoots. But with NWA, it is also a very enjoyable live experience as a fan as well. So it doesn't feel like you're just an extra at the taping.
Definitely not. Yeah, Fiona said the same thing. She loved the time there. So she went to the Crockett Cup when the Briscoes won it. So
Oh,
it
yeah.
was a bit of time ago, but she's going out there. I think she's going out there for the anniversary show
Mhm.
this year as well. So she'll be in for a great show. You can watch that on Roku, by the way. If you are in the UK, try with a VPN. Like I
Good
say,
luck.
something. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, that's the best thing. Good luck. I can watch it absolutely fine. Fiona can't. But you mentioned there about social media, and you've built a very successful brand for yourself there. What is it that people, I'm not trying to give too much away because people have got to learn themselves as well. But what is the sort of the basics that you kind of need to start building that brand, do you think?
The basic is to develop a habit of doing it, develop a habit of being in touch with it. Actually, one of the exercises that I give my clients or partners is if you have a show day, for example, and you do one activity and you switch to another activity. For example, you were just, packing your bag for the show and now you're on the road. Film 5 seconds of it and get into the habit of filming things that you're doing on your everyday basis, not just show days, but like what food you're eating, what clothes you're wearing, what products you're using, what places you're going, because now is the time to do it. This is in the next probably like year and a half is your last chance to really establish a brand the way that we've been doing it because the landscape of social media has been changing. We've seen a lot of AI things come into
Yeah.
play recently, a lot of user-generated content that platforms are using. So your personal brand is going to be an asset going into the future because it's going to get harder and harder to build it. So now is the time to do it. So the basic is, the best time to do it was 5 years ago. The second best time to do it is now. And just put it in your schedule, however you operate your schedule, be it doing a little bit at a time as you do your different activities, or be it firstly allocate an hour of your day to just be on your socials, look at them, look at the people that are similar to you, that whose following you maybe would like or similar following. Just get into the habit of being in touch with it because obviously a lot of the bigger stars have social media managers and they have a whole team and everything, which is great and facilitates things so much. But I'm a big advocate of knowing how it works, trying it yourself, getting your hands dirty in the proverbial sense, because ultimately that will provide you with independence. Because when you rely on a social media manager, they get sick or they go on holiday and you don't know what you're doing. So it's good to know how to operate it yourself as well.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we have, as you know, you've got so many social media accounts, and it's so. Do you also have to sort of pick about maybe which one's the more popular? Like, right? I mean, I think now sort of X, Twitter, maybe that's kind of being pushed to the side a little bit. More people are on Instagram. Blue Sky was kicking off. I hadn't heard much of that recently, but is it kind of also knowing where the audience is as well?
It's not really knowing where the audience is because the audience is essentially everywhere. And if you can cover all bases and be on as many things as you can, and you have the time and capacity and the energy for it, that's always the best thing to do because you can have this person, a fan who likes you and they want to support you, they want to see what you're up to, but they, for example, don't like Twitter and like Instagram, or they don't like TikTok but like Twitter. So you're trying to cover all bases essentially to get the biggest audience you possibly can. But I always tell people that there will always be a primary account that you will have. And if you don't pick it, it will pick itself. It would either be something that takes off more, where you get more followers just organically, or it would be something that's for you personally feels more user friendly, more comfortable to use, and you're just naturally more drawn to it. But there will be one main one. You just have to make sure that you have those like backup ones for other people who want to follow you on other stuff, and that your like user paths, we call them user paths. So how the user moves throughout the internet, make sure that all your other places lead to your main place essentially. But yeah, they're everywhere. People are everywhere. At this point, almost everyone is on social media, and you can't say like, "Oh, all wrestling fans are only on Twitter and nowhere else," because that's not true.
Yeah, definitely. So they everyone, well, they're pretty much, as you say, everyone is pretty much everywhere
Yeah.
on social media. But when you're coming to, I know you've done some interviews on talent. So when you go to interview talent, A, do you know who you're interviewing? And B, how do you do your interview prep? What's your kind of bits that you kind of always do, your milestones if you have to check things off?
Yeah, whether you know or you don't know depends on the situation.
Mm.
Most of my interviews are long form sit down interviews, and that's how I prefer it. Another big chunk is event interviews that are more run and gun, but they're also very tailored to a person. So if you're scheduling with talent directly, or if it's an event, you obviously know who's going to be there and you can prepare accordingly. But sometimes if you're doing media for a show or an event, or a press conference, you don't know in advance who's there. So the prep would be different, right?
Yeah.
So when you don't know, the two things to consider, which there's a lot of things to consider, but the two that I can throw out for people to pay attention to is to know like the card of the event and what the event is about and what matches are on the show and who's champion and all that.
Yeah.
And second, to prepare some general questions that could apply to any wrestler on the roster, for example. Right. So, you know, try to not be too generic about it, but it's good to have those general questions in your back pocket that you can ask anyone. But for when it's good to watch their other interviews. One thing that I personally try to make sure of is that I'm not repetitive, that I'm not asking them the same question that they've answered
Yeah.
20 times already, because a lot of wrestling interviewers do that. And I get that maybe you're thinking that, oh, my audience hasn't seen this person yet, so maybe I'll ask them anyway, which is fair. But it makes for a better interview, it makes for a better report when they're having fun,
Yeah.
when they want to talk about whatever it is that you're asking them about. So a lot of my interviews with wrestlers veer way off wrestling, and I like to talk to wrestlers about their non-wrestling
Hmm.
interests or hobbies or beliefs or whatever they do in life that's outside of wrestling. Because A, it's something that you don't see in most interviews and it's something that you don't see when they wrestle. And B, they don't get to talk about it as much. So
Yeah.
it excites them. And if it's something that they really believe in, for example, if it's rescuing animals or if it's advocating for people who maybe went through the same health struggles that they went through, it ignites them. They want to talk about it. So it makes for a better flow and a better interview overall as well.
Yeah, definitely. So, with that in mind, I'm going to start leaning towards my random questions that I like to ask people, wrestlers as well. Sometimes some of them they get stumped depending on the nature of it. So, the first one is probably a little bit generic, but I like to answer it anyway. And especially because you're an interviewer, so any sort of one I collaborate with. What is your three favorite interviews that you've done? If you had to pick three off the top of your head.
Mhm. Three. Okay. Three's probably easier than one, but it's hard because I do want to disclaimer,
Yeah,
I've interviewed about 200 people,
yeah,
maybe more at this point if you count the ones they haven't put out yet.
yeah,
Um, but it's, I don't want to offend anyone. Everyone
yeah,
mostly was. Um, but some of them were definitely special to me. And one of my favorite ones is my interview with Best Friends with Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta.
yeah.
Um, it is one of my favorites because they're my probably favorite tag team of all time. So even getting to interview them was really fun. But they are also both incredibly funny. Some of the funniest people I've ever met. So that
Yeah.
interview just went way off the rails in the best sense ever. And also, it's the only interview I've ever recorded inside of Daly's Place,
Oh
which is a
wow.
very special venue for AW and AW fans. So that makes it special as well. So that's definitely one of my favorites. Um, Another favorite is probably my first interview with Nick Nemeth,
Mhm.
um, because it happened after years of me being a fan of his, and it was while he was still in WWE, by the way.
Oh wow.
Um, so I got to talk to him about a lot of non-wrestling things. It was mostly about his comedy
Yeah.
and his TV appearances because it was prior to a comedy show that he was doing. And, we were like mutuals on the internet for many years. And that was the first time I met him in real life and we recorded together as well. And he was just such a breeze to work with. He's so professional. He's so personable. It's just absolutely amazing. And he took care of a lot of the logistics for the interview, even though he absolutely didn't have to, but he
Mm.
wanted to facilitate it for me. And I thought it was so considerate and just fantastic of him to do. So I'm a big fan of his. He will always be a favorite. Um, and maybe another favorite is one that I haven't put out yet. We actually shot it last weekend, but it's a long sit-down interview with Aaron Stevens, formerly known as Damien
Oh
Sandow.
yes, he's brilliant.
And that was such an amazing. It's really long. It's longer than my usual interviews, but it was so amazing because he's very much a mystery to wrestling fans. He didn't have social media until after he got released from WWE
Yeah.
or left WWE. Um, and people don't really know much about where he even came from because he didn't really have a long independent career. He just popped up in WWE one day and was suddenly brilliant.
Yeah.
And people were like, where did this guy come from? So it was really cool to dive into the story of how he got into wrestling, of who trained him, of how he got in WWE. And especially now, he does so many great things for wrestling. He does seminars, he does
Mhm.
he has his kids, as he calls them, the wrestlers that he's
Yeah.
kind of taken under his wing, and he's helping them grow and be better. And he just has so many amazing insights. He has a brilliant wrestling brain. So it was
Yes.
honor to pick that brain for like 2 hours. So
Wow.
that's coming soon. I just got the first edit like yesterday, so it's very exciting on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/ads. I did that. It's coming soon.
Brit, I can vouch for those two, Nick and Aaron. I haven't had as long with either one as what you had, but I can vouch in the terms of when I've spoken to both of them. And Aaron is sensational. I think he's such a great, and as you rightfully say, he does so much work also with the NWA territories as well, and he's always around. And every time we speak to anyone that's either been in the NWA or been working for one of their territories, it's always Aaron. That's one of the first names that they spring. Oh, other than EC3, of course, which is obviously does Exodus Pro. So, um, on the same kind of mold as that question, but it's if you like your wrestling theme songs, what are your favorite three?
I love my wrestling theme songs. Um, I think my favorite is the Dolph Ziggler one, Here to Show the World. I
Yep.
think they're probably like almost all of them are going to be Downstate ones because I actually have like a personal friendship with Downstate, the band.
Okay.
I've been also a fan of their work for the longest time, and I found that in wrestling, if you're both doing something professionally and you admire each other's
Yeah.
work or activities, you will eventually become friends. I actually do have an interview with them on my YouTube channel as well,
Oh,
so you
wow.
can check that out. But I love their songs outside of wrestling too. But yeah, Here to Show the World. Another one is Say to My Face, the Alex Riley one.
Ah, yeah, that's an old. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember that.
Um, let's see what else. They're just all good. All three are going to be downstate ones. I really like
Yeah,
the Miz theme
Miz.
because I think that's how I discovered downstate. So yeah.
Oh, through the Miz, yeah, definitely. Oh, well, yeah, definitely. So, and you said from there, Alex Riley, as you they were together at one point, and they broke off,
Yeah.
and that's when Alex got his. And again, within that kind of on that same mantra, I call it table for free. You can have dinner with three wrestling personalities, living, past, or present. Who's the three that you would have around that table?
Oh man, you said living or past.
Living or yeah, yeah, past or present, yeah, living or past, yeah,
Okay, I definitely want to have Tony Khan at that table
yeah.
because I feel like he really, changed the industry.
Hmm.
And you can love or hate AEW. I personally love AEW,
Me too.
uh, but it's the first and only real alternative that we've had to WWE in decades.
It's
So
WCW.
it's just so remarkable. And Tony Khan is my like dream interview as well.
Mm.
So I would love to have him at that table for sure. Um, oh my God, let's see. Maybe like let's put John Cena there, and people would think that it's weird of me to say that because if you know me, if you follow me on socials, you know that I'm a certified Cena hater. Uh, I've had like a whole shtick going on where every time I see any effigy of John Cena, be it a cardboard cutout or a poster or whatever, I have to take a picture flipping it off. Uh, but at this point, it's more of a gimmick than like a
Mm.
real hatred,
Yeah.
obviously. And you know, he's like a defining figure in the
Mm.
history of wrestling. So it would be interesting to pick his brain as well. Um, and the third one, let's go with. I'm between like Trish Stratus or Lita.
Yeah.
Maybe Trish Stratus because I feel like both of them were a big part and like the faces of such a transformative period for women's wrestling specifically. And they went through a lot, but they, came out on top and they did so much and paved the way for women in wrestling nowadays. So I would absolutely love to, pay my respects, but also to hear their stories.
Yeah, that would be great. I would say John Cena one. I kind of have that thing as well. I went through a phase. I liked him at first, and then I went through a phase of not saying hating because hate's a strong word, but not liking him. And then it was a respect thing near the end because obviously when he finished. But I met him WrestleMania 26, I think it was, and I
Mhm.
booed him as I walked up to him, just as a bit of fun.
As you should.
But we did share the same thing. He likes a soccer team over in the UK, and we actually
Mm.
like the
Which
same soccer team.
one?
Tottenham is Tottenham. So does
Oh
Finn.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Finn Balor also
Yeah.
supports the same team. So yeah, that was the thing that we had in common. But yeah, Cena's. I always say he's a version over here of food, what we call Marmite. And the reason why we say that is it's love or hate. You either get people that love it
Yeah.
or hate it.
Yeah. And that's what you want from wrestling, right? As a wrestling
Yeah,
personality. The worst thing that can happen to you is people not caring. You would
yeah.
rather intensely hate you or intensely love you than anything in between. So ultimately, he figured it out, he cracked the code. So, or for him, at some point in his career, both with the rivaling, let's go Cena sucks
Yeah.
chance and everything. Like it was very ambiguous throughout most of his career. But yeah, for me, it's been a running joke that I hate Cena so much. And I've had like several April Fool's days through the years where I would just post about how much I love John Cena. I even made a whole video on my channel where I was talking about how like 5 reasons why John Cena is my favorite wrestler. And I edited it in a way which was like really creepy. I like mirrored myself, so my side cut is on the opposite side, and I edited so that I don't blink once in the whole video. And then you get like shots of like black and white slowed down John Cena as like a little 24th frame type of situation. Yeah, some of my proudest work.
That is brilliant. There's another quick one before we start moving on. And this one is a total real random one. Who would you like to play you in a movie of you?
Oh my God. But this is like outside of wrestling, right? Not
Yeah,
necessarily
yeah,
in
yeah.
the.
No, this isn't wrestling. Yeah, this is an actress. Who would you like?
Yeah.
Who would you want to play you?
I would hope that they, live past the current age. So like I'm thinking of someone who's older than me. I think it's fine to think of that. Because I was watching the show called Disclaimer recently,
Mhm.
and it's one of the best things I've watched in years. It was incredible. And the main character is played by Kate Blanchett. And I was looking at her face and I was thinking that she kind of looks like me, or I guess I look like her because I'm younger than her. So that's definitely a thought in my mind that maybe if I achieve something towards later in life and it makes sense to play me as an older person as opposed to me right now, definitely her. Yeah.
There we go. That's a good. I always say like a Bruce Willis, maybe. I don't know.
Well, yeah,
I have no clue.
I can see it.
Vin,
I can see
Vin,
it.
Vin Diesel on a good
Vin
day,
Diesel, yeah.
maybe, but no, doubt it. Look, let's move on quickly. You've made it no secret that you're a very good advocate of women's, not just women's wrestling, but women's in general, which is great. And same thing on the channel here. We're very big on women's wrestling. We love Eve, for example. Will
Mm.
Ospreay and Dan Reed's brand over here in the UK, which is strictly women wrestling. I always say right now, in terms of women in wrestling and women's wrestling in general, that I always class it as a roller coaster. I feel like it gets great attention and then they dip, and then all of a sudden there's a big something on social media, and then they think, oh, we forgot it. Let's go back up here. Where do you see women's wrestling at the minute, and do you think there's more that can still be done for women in wrestling?
There's a ton of things that can still be done for wrestling. And I made a video about it some years ago, like when it was even not as great as it is now.
Mhm.
But it's the most disliked video on my channel with the most like thumbs down.
Really?
And it was right after we had the first ever women's WrestleMania main event.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
because which is amazing and it's worth celebrating, right? But people were almost treating it as though we have solved sexism. And it's like, no, we absolutely have not. And essentially, what I was saying in the video is that we are so conditioned by the patriarchy that we forgot what the meaning of the word equality is.
Mm.
And equality is equal. So, like 50-50. And this is not to erase the gender ambiguity that can exist, obviously, right? But to dumb it down to numbers, right? Unless we have a show that's 3 hours and, for example, there's 10 matches, right? And unless 5 matches are women's matches and 5 matches are men's matches, that's simply not equality, you know?
No.
You can't put 3 women's matches on the show instead of two and celebrate it as though you've solved inequality, you know?
Mm.
So there's a ton to be done. We're nowhere near the end of this battle if it ever happens. And the thing is, and one thing that's important to realize in any kind of advocacy is that nothing is promised just because something happened once or something was granted or a law was passed or we gained a right, right? It's not promised, and it's not promised that it wouldn't be taken away because we see that a lot through human history. And like if you look at the history of the United States as well, or if you look at the Middle East, right, you would see photos from almost 100 years ago where women are wearing mini skirts, in the city, and now they can't, right? So it's a very important thing to keep in mind that, just because we had the women's
Yeah.
WrestleMania main event, it doesn't mean that, okay, this is a milestone that is done and we can keep it and we can just move forward from there. No, we're also actively fighting for the things that are existent right now, because if we don't, they will be taken back away. So yeah, there's a lot to be done still, for sure.
Yeah, there's still a lot. There's definitely still loads that can be done. It's just, I don't know. I don't know why the world that we still live in now, why things can't be equal. It just doesn't. It makes no sense to me personally. Like,
Yeah.
but that's just the world that we live in, and we don't have to accept it, and we shouldn't accept it, and we should be pushing towards equality for everybody. And that's something that I feel very strongly about as well. So they need to do more. We need to see more. I mean, not in just in women's wrestling. We need to do more. Period. In the
Yes.
world, not just in wrestling. But look, we're going to start to wrap up now because I appreciate you've got some more stuff that you need to do. So as we do that, why don't you tell everyone, look, where can like they don't know where they can find you, but where can they find you? What have you got coming up? And yeah, go take it away.
You can find me at Xenia the Dad, that's Xenia, on Instagram, on X, and on YouTube as well. If you're a fan, you'll find talent interviews, like I said, over 200 people from 20 countries in 3 different languages. So I'm sure you'll find at least one or two of your favorites there. And on my Instagram and Twitter or X, it's more of the show coverage, more of the travel, behind the scenes content, this kind of stuff. But if you are a wrestler, a promoter, or a content creator, or any other wrestling related professional, sports entertainment professional, you can find every week on my Instagram, I do a live at 2 p.m. ET where we talk about building your brand, we talk about marketing yourself, we talk about making money from your social media, and as opposed to it draining you. And if you're ready, to take the next step and to monetize your online presence and to unlock over 30 income streams, reach out to me, book a call with me, or tap the link in my bio and check it out to get more information. And let's leave wrestling a better place than we found it.
Oh, absolutely. There you go. And you need to because she's great at doing it. She's done a fantastic job so far. As we start to wrap up, I need to cover a few things off. So coming up on the channel ourselves, interviews, which is what you mentioned. We've got quite a few. CW Anderson's coming on. We're looking forward to talking things ECW, MLW, and TNA. Next week, I'm also sitting down with, well, not literally sitting down, but we're doing this next week with the artist formerly known as Ridge Holland, Luke Menzies, sorry, fellow Brit, which is always nice as well. And coming back to the channel very, very soon, I always say the words Uncle Eric to us now. It's Eric Bischoff. We'll be having him again very, very soon on the channel. We can't wait for that. But anyway, it's been great talking to you. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to come and talk to me. And we look forward to seeing some more interviews and everything on your channel in the near future.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and for what you do. And I love the British scene. I love Eva as
Yes.
well, and I've been meaning to try and see the show live for the longest time. But you guys are doing a great thing and helping the scene grow and showcasing the voices that need to be heard. So thank you for having me. This is
No
an
problem at all.
honor.
And lastly, do not forget our Turnbuckle Championship is on the line May 3rd. Ignite Wrestling Pro presents the End Game, our new champion and Grand Slam champion now, Chris Aries. Call him Mr. Happy because a bit like the Eclipse, we see him smile once in a blue moon. He will be defending the championship for the first time against new challenger and number one contender Denzel Max. So make sure you go to 96 Eventbrite, type in the End Game. There's your tickets. Come and see us. Come and see me. Come and see the best, well, some of the best up and coming young talent in Brit wrestling. But for Xenia, I've been your host, Adam Cousins. Follow us, HTT Buckle, everywhere. And until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and good night.